I'm looking at this guy right here with this Hellcat. He's got that thing brand new, and because he's got a temporary license on the thing. I just think it's really interesting. The Federal Reserve just raised interest rates. It's like, yeah, good luck buying one of those things now. Fucking interest rates make that thing probably fucking $1,600 to $2,000 a month. Yeah, good luck buying one of them last calls, guys. There's my credit score. Uh-oh, look at this, 850 as of 10/22. That was the last time they updated it. FICO score 9, Experian data. Yes, as you can see, solid across the board. You know, it's funny. I posted my score one time because we were talking about credit on Facebook, and somebody, when they saw my score, they accused me of what was it? They accused me of saying, yeah, I screen captured somebody else's score. So naturally, I went back to my phone. I took a bunch of screenshots and I sent them all. And I was like, yeah, look at the time, look at the date, look at the phone they came from, and then tell me that's not mine. As you can see, what is this? 35% of your score, 100% on-time payments. Right now, people are not even paying the goddamn phone bills right now. They're not paying AT&T. Current debts, 30% of your score. Credit usage, 1%. 3 accounts with balances, $28. Total balance on revolving account, $28. Now, as I say, you got to pay off these balances every night. The only reason why you see $28 there is because it must have been that the computer caught me before I paid it off. But $28, that's right. Credit history, look at that. 15% of your overall score. 9 years, 6 months. And the oldest account's 20 years, 3 months. If I'm not mistaken, you get well, I'm already exceptional there, but on some scoring factors, I think you have to have the oldest account has to be like 25 years before they'll give you an excellent. But they gave me exceptional, exceptional, exceptional. The only thing I'm very good is credit applications. What is this? The last time I applied for something, and I think what it was every year or two, I have to get a new application for my oil company. And my oil company that delivers oil, they run your credit check for whatever reason, and they update it or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what this is. So it says 1 year, 6 months, 0 recent inquiries. It says you have 0 new credit applications within the last 12 months. I think they might be measuring one that I got within the last 2 years, though, so whatever. Types of credit, look at that. Revolving accounts, 14, 15 installment loans. I'm not sure about that. But I think they're just counting the number. Because as you see, even if I have 15 accounts, as you can see, the total amount that I have in revolving balance is $28. My car's paid off. My houses are paid off. And I'm not, I guess one of these, out of the 14 out of 15, I guess one must have closed, I suppose. But that's what it looks like. Boom, there you go. So somebody going to accuse me, oh yeah, well you must have screenshotted somebody else's credit. No, my buddy, read it and weep. In fact, I dared him to FaceTime me because I would have showed him this shit live. People just don't believe it when they see these numbers. They just don't believe it. They can't understand it. They don't understand. How did I do it? How did I do it? That's what they say. How did you do it? How do you have an 850? How do you have an 850? How did you do it? And then I start and I'd be like, okay, well, let me explain it like this. And they'd be like, nope, I don't want to hear it. And then they just leave. That's what happens. That's exactly what happens. They don't want to hear that shit. They say they can't believe it. They want me to explain how I did it. But as soon as I start explaining, goes in one ear, out the fucking other. Boom, they leave. That's how you do it. This 850 credit score, that's how you ride Emirates round trip business class. This is how you go to Bora Bora business class, Air Tahiti Nui. This right here is how you jump on an Etihad plane and ride over to Seychelles business class. This is how you do it. Yeah, what do they say? Follow me for more recipes? Yes, well, follow me for more recipes. As I've already said multiple times, the official beginning of the recession is going to be on November 9th, right the day after Election Day. As you can see, the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, yesterday, he raised interest rates 0.75 basis points. So what is this story? Yahoo Money. Credit card APRs are set to blow past all-time highs. The Federal Reserve's move this week may have dire ramifications for people who carry balances on their credit cards from month to month. The central bank gassed up its benchmark interest rate another 3/4 of a point, the fourth time it has done so this year. That in turn will trigger credit card interest rate hikes, which typically go hand in hand with Fed increases. Most credit card holders should see the Fed rate hike pass to their rate within a statement cycle or two. Now, this right here is the reason I keep telling you, do not run revolving balances. But guess what? It was one thing when revolving balances were less than 3%. Now they're going up. So now you're going to really feel it, especially if you're carrying student loan debts in non-federal subsidized or whatever, and it's not a fixed rate. Credit card debt has never been pretty, but this is particularly bleak. The average variable credit card rate is now 18.77%, the highest since February of 1993. It will soon blow past the all-time record of 19% set in July 1991. He said at the start of the year, the average credit card charged 16.30%. Consider this. The average credit card balance is $5,270. Not me! My average credit card balance is zero, according to TransUnion, factoring in this week's hike. If you make minimum payments at 19.52% APR, that will keep you in debt for 197 months. God damn! Even 144 months, that's 12 years a slave. You're going to be in debt for 197 months, over $5,270. God damn! And cost $7,128 in interest. What the fuck did you buy? Every quarter point increase equates to about $100 in additional interest over the life of your minimum payments. Credit card debt carried month to month is the most common type of debt held by 42%, not me, of adults age 30 and over. Not me! According to a new report by AARP. The survey of 4,817 adults ages 30 plus was conducted by NORC. And 1 in 3 adults aged 30 and older said their financial situation is worse than it was a year ago. Not me! Other findings. The average amount of credit card debt carried by those surveyed was just over $7,100, with 42% of those chalking up their credit card debt to everyday expenses. It is the debt that consumers say they are most worried about, 37%. Gary Koenig, Vice President of Financial Security at AARP, told Yahoo Money. With interest rates on credit cards rising, I would expect to see this number rising too in the months ahead. It is a very difficult situation for many consumers. Not me! Paying down credit card debt is non-negotiable as rates soar. The interest is as much as 5 times higher than other products such as mortgages, car loans, and student loans. I was going to say student debt. One way to get started is to sign up for a 0% balance transfer card. What the fuck is that going to do? All you're doing is moving it over to another card, and they're going to hit you there too. These allow you to move your existing high-cost credit card debt over to a new card with a 0% promotional rate lasting as long as 21 months. There's a 3 to 5% transfer fee, so no matter whether you pay it off or not, they're hitting you for 3 to 5% of whatever you're transferring. Let's say you're transferring $10,000, you're going to pay 3 or 5% of that. Let's say 5%, because chances are you're going to pay the max. Make a budget to understand what income you have coming in and what you owe your creditors. Then create a realistic payment plan to slash away at your outstanding balance. Alternatives also include a low-rate personal loan, perhaps as low as about 6% over 5 years if you have strong credit. Rossman said. Rossman. What's his first name? I don't see his first name. Okay, but anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. Automating your monthly payments basically keeps you from paying late. A nonprofit credit counselor may also be able to negotiate with your credit card issuers to give you a break on rates, but you will pay a fee for the service. Of course you're going to pay. The Justice Department website provides a list of approved credit counseling agencies. See what I'm saying? See what I've been saying? I've been saying it all along. I've been saying it all along. Been saying it all along. I told y'all, pay off them credit cards. Stop fucking around with these high interest car loans. But no, nobody listened. Nobody listened. Those videos I did, even this one, get the lowest views. YouTube don't show them. YouTube don't recommend them. Nobody shares my shit. But guess what? Guess what? Everybody else, the Dogecoin pumpers, the Bitcoin pumpers, them motherfuckers, people sharing their videos, and the YouTube got their shit and recommended every, look where you are now. Look where you are now. I've already made a bunch of videos where I've been mocking the housing market. The housing market is a complete mess. Interest rates are high. Housing prices are still relatively high in the places you'd possibly want to live. So now you're faced with a very high, very, very high mortgage. Plus, because your taxes and insurance are most likely based on the cost of the house, chances are the taxes, insurance, and the mortgage get so high that you probably can't afford anything right now anyway, unless you've got a lot of money saved up or unless you're rich. But I wanted to talk a little bit about leasing because I've been making so much fun of these new Dodge products that I think are basically the end of the brand. But I wanted to talk a little bit about leasing because, as you remember, I showed you the details of my mom when I refinanced her Cadillac XT5. I took one of my coworkers, refinanced her Cadillac XT5. I tried to get my aunt to keep her Cadillac XT5, but she traded it back in or let them take it back. She didn't really trade it and then ended up getting a Mercedes GLE. Thing about it is now I see my aunt, she complains, oh, this Mercedes GLE doesn't drive as well as that Cadillac did. And I was like, yeah, stupid. That's why I told you to keep it. Unfortunately, because of the parking situation, when you get to these dense parts of New York City, technically it kind of didn't make sense for her to keep it unless she was only going to keep that car and only have one car because now she has no place to park. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand the reason why she didn't keep it, but I would have kept it. I would have kept that, and I would have had that as a second car, but I can understand why she didn't. So, anyway, the thing that there's a couple of things that I see on the horizon. You're going to hear more and more about them, but I'm telling you about it now because you're going to hear about it talked about later. Consumer spending this Christmas is going to be lower than it is last year. I'm 100% certain of that. Consumer spending this year is going to be lower than last year. Credit card debt's all-time high right now. Credit card rates are approaching all-time highs, as I just showed you in the last article. Leasing is damn near unaffordable for most people now. It used to be easy when everybody was able to just go to the store and they get their 3% or less or their 1.9 or their 1% on a lease. Now it's not that easy. Now you're facing 5.82 and 6 point this and 7 point that. The reality is a lot of these people who bought their cars in 2019 or 2020, some people who got 0% APR for whatever number, 60 months or whatever it was on those specials where they were trying to get rid of cars off the lot, those people may have gotten actually very lucky, especially if they financed those cars because now they get to keep them for a long period of time. The sad thing is, if you have a leased car from 2018 or 2019 and it's time for that car to go back, chances are you're going to want to refinance that car and hold on to it because right now there's nothing else. If you try to get a car like the car you have, you're going to end up paying a whole lot more money. That's assuming that there's no inventory for you because most likely the inventory is dried up. Most likely you can't get exactly what you want. Most likely either the color's not there or the heated cooled seats aren't there or the massage seats aren't there or the navigation system's not there or there's no chips to run the moonroof or something like that. Inventory is starting to go back up. The chip situation is starting to get better, but it's going to be at least a year or two before everything kind of returns to normal. So if you're hurting now, you're going to be hurting for a while. So let's see. 5 reasons leasing a car is a bad idea in 2022. All right. No equity. Leasing means never having equity in the vehicle. Now, if for those of you who don't know what equity means, it means that when you buy a car and you start paying down the balance on the vehicle's, basically it's a mortgage, but they don't call it a mortgage. They use the word mortgage for a house. But when you start paying down the vehicle's car note, as you pay it down, the money that is the difference between the balance on that loan and the total cost of the loan, the difference is your money. So if you have a car that's, I don't know, $50,000 and you've put $20,000 into it, whatever the car is worth now will be left over to you, especially after you pay down the debt to zero. Because once you pay it down to zero, whatever that car is worth, blue book value, that is what you have to work with if you want to trade that car for something else. Here's the problem, though. For people who get these very, very long-term loans, like 74 months, 86 months, 96 months, 144 months. When you get these very, very long car loans, it takes so long to pay the car off that by the time the car is paid off, there's nothing left. There's no value left in it. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no value at all, because some of these cars can be chopped up into parts. But for the most part, if you're driving around a car that's like 20 or 30 years old, they ain't offering you nothing for it. Maybe $100, maybe $200. If you're lucky, $500, but that's probably about it. Unless it was a vehicle that depreciates very, very slowly. And there's not very many of those in this case. Like, for example, if you had a Hummer H2 from 2004 or 2005, that actually might be worth a bit to the dealer right now. These 4x4 vehicles and many of these light trucks hold value pretty well. However, if you've got like a Nissan Altima from 2004, 2005, chances are they'll offer you a kiss and a handshake, and that's about it. But anyway, no equity. No equity. You can never sell it for cash, and any money you put into it benefits only the dealer. Financing a loan may not be fun, but if you're leasing only because you think it will be less expensive, you'll need to run the numbers to be sure. Then they give you an example. And the reality is, when a lease ends, you have to give that car back. So there's no, like, you will pay on that car from the day you lease it to the day it goes back. But once it goes back, that's it. It just goes back, and that's it. You have no car until you buy another car. What else? Mileage restrictions. And I think this is the biggest one, because I took one of my aunts, and I was showing her a Tesla, and she liked it, but she thought that the mileage restrictions were a problem for her, which they were. Really, she would have needed like 20,000 miles a year in order, because she was driving back and forth from Pennsylvania to New York. She didn't think that the mileage restrictions were good enough, because most of these things only go up to about 15,000 miles. 12,000 and 10,000 and 8,000 get you the lowest possible cost per month. But most people will usually need between 10 and 12,000 miles per year. So yes, mileage restrictions. If you finance a car, there are no mileage restrictions. You can drive that motherfucker to the moon, 250,000 miles at the the Para-G, and maybe 350,000 miles at the Apogee of the moon. You could drive that far and nobody can say nothing to you. Restrictions. If you're set on leasing a vehicle, read the contract. It's possible the dealer will include a clause saying you cannot move to another state or country with the leased vehicle. So that means this Canada, America, you're not moving. It also means you may not be able to modify the car either. And I know a lot of y'all are driving around in modified leased cars, but when you try to take those cars back, the dealer is going to quickly penalize you, and you'll probably not say anything about it because you don't want to get embarrassed on the internet. Tricky if your situation changes. Let's say you're sailing along and life is going great. You're at the end of your lease and it's time to turn it in and find another vehicle on the lot. What happens if you become ill or lose your job? Will you have enough money in your emergency savings account to drive another car off the lot? Or will you be stuck without transportation? This COVID situation basically was number 4. The situation changed for everybody. What happens when interest rates go up and you can no longer afford the lease because now the interest has caused your monthly payments to skyrocket? One of my friends was facing exactly that. She couldn't get a new car, so she had to keep rocking the old car. Now, in my mom's case, I told my mom, I was like, listen, There's nothing else on this lot. There's nothing new. You might as well just keep this car right here, keep driving it, stay in it until later. The payments will be cheaper. You can take some cash money, get your warranty extension, and this way they'll take care of it if anything happens. But I told her, I was like, first of all, you've had this car 4 years and you didn't even put 30,000 miles on it. There's no reason for you to go out and buy a new car. What I would do is take this car, have it detailed, get it nice and clean and everything. Just hold on to it for a little while longer until your next car. But right now is not the time. So she listened to me, and so she's doing okay with it right now, has her warranty extension and everything. Additional costs. Auto leases do not make for fun reading. If you read the contract close enough, you may notice an upfront fee and responsibility to pay for repairs, even though the car does not belong to you. There will also be a hefty termination fee if you decide to end the lease early. Despite these drawbacks, leases are perfect for some. For example, if you have a high-profile job and want to convey an image of success when you drive, a leased vehicle may be the most cost-effective way to do that. No matter what your situation in life is, the smart move is always to read the fine print before making a final decision. If you're the type of person who's making so much money that you got more money than you know what to do with, and you want to lease something like, say, a Bentley Bentayga, or if you want to rent a Lamborghini or some shit like that, chances are you don't give a shit. Like, you'll rent what you want and you'll drive whatever you want, and that's it. The problem comes for these people who are on the low end, champagne taste and beer money, who are trying to keep up with people they can't keep up with. Like, I've noticed at some businesses, you'll see the boss get a new car, and then automatically you'll start seeing the employees want to get new cars to be like the boss. Usually this takes the form of BMW, Jaguar, Mercedes. If the boss is driving around in a BMW, chances are the underlings are going to want a BMW too, and they're going to want one maybe a little bit under the spec of the bosses. But I've seen this so many times, especially with Mercedes, especially with Jaguar. If you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and you do, because I'll never understand these people who have this mentality, oh, I've got to have a new car every 4 years. I'll never understand that. But listen, if you're super rich, you don't give a shit. You can buy 4 new cars every 4 years. Most people don't live like that, though. In fact, most rich people don't live like that. Most rich people are driving around in Honda Accords and Camrys, according to Forbes. Warren Buffett buys used Cadillacs. That man's got more money than God, and he's buying used Cadillacs. What does that tell you? If I was Warren Buffett, I'd have me a 4-door Bugatti or something. Even though they don't make a 4-door Bugatti, I'd make them make one just for me. I'd have a one-of-one Galaber if that was me. I'd be Warren Buffett driving around in a fucking W16 with 4 doors on it. And people are like, where the fuck did you get that? And I'd be like, I'm Warren Buffett, god damn it. But most people don't live like that. Even these super rich people don't live like that. They spend their money on yachts and shit. But that's just what it is. So let's see. Anything is, I think that's about it for that story. So, I knew that this was coming when the Federal Reserve started raising rates. Eventually, you get to the point where people who normally would have purchased certain things, now they can't afford it no more. And that's where we are right now. You're looking at this chick right here. She's got her hands on that steering wheel, but that don't mean she actually bought that car. She was probably looking at it, then they hit her with those monthly payment costs, and she was like, oh, well, I'll think about it. She went home and she dreaded that phone. When that phone rang, she looked at that number. She was like, oh, shit. It's motherfucking Tesla again. No. I'm not going to pick that shit up. No. And then she just let it ring. And then the guy gets on and he's like, hi, this is Mike over at Tesla. And I was just calling to let you know that car that was spec'd the way you wanted it just came in. We got a black Tesla Model 3 with white seats, and it's got you written all over it. Give me a call back at 1-900-555-TESLA, and we're going to get started putting you in your brand new dream Tesla. But what she wasn't counting on was the fact that they were going to have the Federal Reserve raise interest rates today, and the interest rates are up so high that what used to be $1,000 a month went up to like $1,200 a month, and now she can't afford it. And then the insurance cost is high, so now she can't afford it. And that's just what we're facing. And the sad thing is, it's really educational, even though it's a little sad, a little depressing. When I watch people trying to buy shit and they can't afford it no more and they can't get it, it's educational for me because I be watching. I sit back, I just watch. It's like I've seen people go into Costco, Walmart, go to BJ's, they pick up stuff, they bring it all the way up to the register, and then they realize, oh shit, I can't afford it, and they just put that shit right back on the side. I think America needs more of that. Honestly, I think people have been living so far above their means for so long that I think it's time for a recession. Maybe I feel like the Federal Reserve. I know nobody wants it, but the reality is the longer we go letting people get cheap money and cheap credit, the deeper this recession goes. Because what you're doing is you're increasing inflation on the money by giving out cheap money. You're driving up demand while supply continues to dwindle. I think it's time Americans started living within their means. And I tell you this, eliminating the welfare state would expose all of these people who are living well above their means, using the system, abusing the taxpayers. And whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, it's coming. It's just coming. Simply because we have reached a point where it's absolutely unsustainable what we've been doing. And it's coming. So, just prepare yourself for it because it's coming. So that's about it. I think I've done ranting enough about credit and ranting about the economy and how fucked up it is. Just make sure that you vote come November 8th. Make sure you get these Democrats out of office. Maybe we can return to some intelligent, fiscal, global, military, and national security policy. Look right here. This guy's got the new Ford Lightning. That's the first one I've seen in traffic. This guy's got it. And it even says Lightning right there on the side, too. I thought there was something special about it because I saw that bar of light around the side and the front. And even right behind him, this guy's got a Hummer, but he's got like the old regular H2. Oh man, I want to get closer to that truck. That was that thing was pretty cool. See if I get closer to him. This guy's got that new Ford Lightning. The Ford Lightning truck. Electric. Yeah, it's got some nice lights and stuff on the front of it too. Let me see if I get around this guy right here. Yeah, that's a pretty truck. Got it in black. You can see the light bar and all that. Wow, that's pretty cool.